Hello everyone and welcome to my preview for the March 31st edition of AEW Dynamite. I am your host, Ms Dynamite herself, Stephanie Chase, and I'm going to be running you through the card already announced for this week's show, giving you some thoughts, background, and maybe even some prediction. Now, last week we had another awesome Dynamite. Kenny Omega was in action, so was Laredo Kid, Ty Conti got a big win, and there was lots of matches set up for this week, giving us another stacked card. But before we get into Dynamite, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and turn on those notifications so you are the first to know when a new video drops. And if you, like me, love AEW, then join me here live every Friday for AEW Weekly at 11:30 p.m. UK time. It's a great interactive show where we fully break down Dynamite and talk about everything that's going on in the world of AEW. The link to the latest edition should be on your screen now. And if you want to show some support for this video, AEW Weekly, everything I do, you can do so over at patreon.com/Stephanie Chase. And let's get into this week's Dynamite. It's another hugely stacked card. Who knows what order these matches are going to go in, but I am going to start with a women's tag team match because we have Ty Conti teaming up with our women's champion Hikaru Shida to take on Nyla Rose and the Bunny. So last week on Dynamite, as I said, we had a huge win for Ty Conti. She beat former AEW Women's Champion Nyla Rose. I was so happy to see Ty get a win. I actually predicted that she would win, judging by all the great work she's been doing on Dark and Elevation. So a huge moment for Ty. But then, sadly for her, after the match, she was attacked by Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero. But it was women's champion Hikaru Shida who ran out to make the save before we got an appearance from the Bunny. Of course, in recent weeks, the Bunny, along with the Butcher and the Blade, joined Matt Hardy's stable. And during this beatdown, Matt Hardy came out to call the Women's Eliminator Tournament a sham because the Bunny wasn't in it. And he said that his client has been overlooked for too long. And I don't know if she's been overlooked, but we haven't seen the Bunny in action much. She had a match on Dark earlier this month, but before that, she had not been in the ring since September. So when it comes to predicting who's going to win in this match, it's really hard because on one side, you've got Hikaru Shida, who's the women's champion, and you've got Ty Conti, who they've done such a great job building up that it would just be such a shame to see Ty take a pinfall here. And you don't want your women's champion to get pinned. But then on the other side, we have Nyla, a former women's champion, someone that AEW likes to show as being very dominant. And we have the Bunny, who, because she hasn't wrestled in so long, it also feels like a shame for her to lose too. So when it comes to predicting this match, it's really hard. Two separate predictions. For the shocker, I'm going to say that Nyla Rose pins Hikaru Shida. And then for the better outcome, let's say, I'm going to say Ty Conti pins the Bunny just because I have a lot of love for Ty Conti and I really want to see her rise up the ranks of the women's division. Of course, Ty could always pin Nyla again. That's interesting. Next up, we are going to see Christian Cage in action against Frankie Kazarian. Now, this match was set up last week when we saw Christian backstage acting like the veteran, mentoring younger talent, giving some advice to the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin. But while Christian was giving his little pep talk, Frankie Kazarian appeared, and Christian's been wearing this Outwork Everyone t-shirt. That's his new tagline, his new gimmick. And Frankie Kazarian rolled up to him and asked, when does the work start? Because we're yet to see Christian in action since his signing with the company was announced at Revolution. So Christian said that the work starts next week. He challenged Frankie. Frankie accepted. So we are on for Dynamite. Kazarian did note, though, that Christian hasn't had a match in 7 years. Not technically true, Frankie, because he was in this year's WWE Royal Rumble back in January. Now, this is an interesting match. It's an interesting first opponent for Christian. They're putting him in there with a guy that he knows because Christian and Kazarian were in TNA together. Their most notable match probably was a ladder match at the Genesis pay-per-view in 2007, which Frankie won. I think this is going to be a very good, solid match. This is Christian's opportunity to show what he can do in AEW. Kazarian is a good opponent to put him in there with. Kazarian is a very good worker, but I also think Kazarian has such an understated charisma. Like, I enjoyed him so much in being the Elite in the run up to Christmas. And then we had the Christmas episode of Being the Elite, which is my favorite ever, where Kazarian was playing the Scrooge role. He's someone that's really found himself a new side to himself in AEW, and I love seeing him in the ring and just the little mannerisms he has and the things he does. He's got a real understated charisma, which I guess is an interesting thing to say when he's up against a guy that used to call himself Captain Charisma. So who's going to win? Obviously, it's going to be Christian. This is Christian's debut AEW match. They're going to give him the win. And I guess after the match, we'll see what happens next, because I feel like Christian's next challenger might make himself known once the 1, 2, 3 happens. Next, we have another match that was set up in last week's Dynamite. QT Marshall is going to be taking on his best friend, Cody Rhodes, with Aaron Anderson as the special guest referee. So last week on Dynamite, QT cut a promo where he introduced us to his wife, and he said that he was the hardest working man in AEW. And he also noted how much he does for Cody and that he's really sick of being known as Cody's best friend. So as a way to rid himself of the Cody's friend tag, QT decided to challenge Cody to a match. Cody came out with his arm in a sling and he accepted. Cody also said that he's kind of going to go easy on QT. Like, if he puts on the figure 4, he's going to let it go. It was a little bit patronizing, but it was very Cody being like, you're my best friend. I don't want to hurt you. So I guess this is kind of AEW doing the Bruno Sammartino, Larry Zbyszko storyline on a smaller scale and maybe a quicker scale, because I think my only, not problem with this match, but maybe qualm with it is I feel like Cody and QT's friendship, it just hasn't been that heavily displayed on Dynamite. We see, Cody is one of the biggest stars in AEW. He's always got Aaron Anderson by his side. We know he has the Nightmare family, but I think I would have liked to have seen just more about their friendship before this match actually happens. And obviously QT in recent weeks, we've seen that he's been having problems with the Nightmare family, but he's gone straight to the head here. He's gone straight to Cody to challenge him to a match. I do think this match will be very good, though. I am always impressed with QT in the ring. Cody's a great storyteller. Cody is best when there's an emotion attached to it. He is best when he is fighting his brother, Dustin, or when he's fighting MJF, who used to be his protege, or when he's fighting Darby Allin, a guy that he just has a lot of respect and feelings for. So I feel like even if I'm not 100% sold on Cody and QT's friendship, Cody will sell me in the ring, because Cody, he's just great at performing out these storylines, and he will absolutely have you by the end of this match probably close to tears that he's had to fight his best friend. I expect the winner here to be Cody, but I expect that not to be the end of things. I expect Cody to win and QT to kind of flip out and not take it very well at all, and this to all cause him to be even more mad and resentful at Cody, and for this feud to continue for a little bit. Next is a big match. It is Arcade Anarchy. Yes, Miro and Kip Sabian are teaming up to take on Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy in whatever an Arcade Anarchy match is. So the feud between Miro and Kip Sabian and Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy has been going on for quite a while. We know that Chuck, he had to be Miro's butler during the period that they were preparing for Kip and Penelope's wedding. Chuck and Orange Cassidy ended up ruining Penelope and Kip's wedding. And then there was the match at Revolution, which seemed really just like a Miro squash match. It was quick and he took care of those guys quickly. And it seemed like, at least in his end, the feud was over. But a couple weeks ago, Kip really said, no, it's not over because I want my revenge for what happened at the wedding. So that leads us to the Arcade Anarchy match. I can only imagine what this is going to look like. I hope they kind of go all out for it and it's just arcade machines everywhere and it is absolute Arcade Anarchy, you know, live up to the name. I think it's going to be a cool match and I think this is just going to be a Miro destruction match. I think he's going to destroy arcade machines, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, and then Kip Sabian. Yeah, I think this is the breakout moment for Miro that we've been waiting for. We kind of had it a bit at Revolution, but he kept his friendship with Kip intact. But I think this is it. I think this is the end of the more like laid back or held back Miro, the end of Miro and Kip, the end of everything. I want to literally see Miro bust through an arcade machine and just become this wrecking machine Hulk type character that is going to be competing in a lot of just dominant squash matches in AEW and really building himself up. But I'm very excited for this match. I'm thinking back to the parking lot brawl that the Best Friends had with Santana and Ortiz, and I'm hoping for that same kind of energy on a Dynamite. I think that Dynamite, well, AEW gimmick matches in general, they are usually very well done. And I don't think this one is going to disappoint. We've been really building up this feud for so long between Miro and Kip and Chuck and Orange Cassidy that I think the blow-off is going to be something pretty special. And finally, we have Kenny Omega teaming up with the Good Brothers to take on the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. So as you know from last week, I was very excited to see Laredo Kid make his Dynamite debut, and I am very happy to see that he is back for a second week. So last week we had the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler taking on the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. At the end of that match, Kenny Omega came out. It was Laredo Kid who got the pin. Kenny came out and he went a little bit mad. He attacked Laredo Kid and he started talking about flashbacks he was having. He knew Laredo Kid from AAA. He was having a flashback to Fyter Fest, and yeah, he took it out on Laredo Kid. And then this was kind of the end of any friendship that was left between him and the Young Bucks. He told the Young Bucks that he had chosen them. He didn't think that the Young Bucks felt the same about him, and they pretty much rejected him. But then Kenny ate 2 super kicks from the Lucha Brothers and ended up actually bleeding, lying in the middle of the ring, which is quite the visual for the world champion, especially one like Kenny that's been so dominant. So now he's teaming with his actual friends, now that the Young Bucks are out of the picture, the Good Brothers, to take on the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. I think this match is going to be excellent. I said last week that one of my favorite matches of 2020 was Kenny Omega versus Laredo Kid. So as long as Kenny is in there with Laredo Kid, I think we're going to get something really special. Kenny's going to work incredibly with the Lucha Brothers as well. The Good Brothers, I always find the Good Brothers enjoyable to watch, and Karl Anderson himself is a great worker, and he's a great post guy. He's a great guy to be a post for the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid to do a lot of crazy moves. But it is another big tag match for Dynamite, and what can I say? Like, Tony Khan just keeps delivering these huge matches week to week for Dynamite that give us big stars in big matches, but they don't waste anything. They don't like blow off anything too early. And it's just really fun. So glad to see Laredo Kid back, and can't wait to see him back in the ring with Kenny Omega. And that is all from me for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to join me on Friday for AEW Weekly. It is 11:30 p.m. UK time. The full times will be on the screen now. And everyone, enjoy Dynamite, and I will see you next time.